On the afternoon of Friday, November 27, 1987, Sian Kingi met her mother, Linda, after school to go shopping at a local store in Noosa, Queensland. After they were done, the 12-year-old girl rode her bicycle home and told her mother she would be there in a few minutes, as she usually took a shortcut through Pinaroo Park. Linda expected her daughter to arrive home before her. However, when she got home and found no sign of Sian, she assumed her daughter might have met up with friends along the way and would return before dinner. Unfortunately, time kept passing and Sian was still missing. Growing worried, Linda called Sian's friends and found out none of them had seen her since school ended. She and her husband Barrie went out to search for their daughter. While retracing Sian's usual route, they made a horrifying discovery. Sian's bicycle was lying in the bushes. Realizing Sian would never abandon her beloved bike, they immediately reported her missing to the police. Despite nightfall, officers began a search in the park to look for any trace of the girl. After speaking with several people in the area, police learned that a white 1973 Holden Kingswood station wagon had been seen loitering around the park that afternoon. Witnesses described the driver as a scruffy and disheveled man, and his female companion as an overweight woman with messy blonde hair. 6 days after Sian disappeared, a fruit picker discovered the decomposing body of a young girl in school uniform in the Tinbirwa Mountain State Forest, about 15 kilometers from where Sian was last seen. The body was identified as Sian Kingi. An autopsy revealed she had been sexually assaulted and strangled multiple times before being killed. News of Sian's fate shook the community, prompting citizens to come together in search of the killer. A $10,000 reward was offered for information leading to an arrest. Over 700 tips were received, and police worked around the clock to follow every lead. A couple swimming at Castaways Beach, just 8 minutes from Pinaroo Park, reported being disturbed by a suspicious, scruffy-looking man. When the man realized they were watching him, he quickly drove away in a white station wagon. Fortunately, the couple had noted the vehicle's license plate number. Police traced the plate to a woman named Valmae Beck, a 44-year-old mother of 6 with a criminal record. She was married to Barrie Watts, a career criminal 10 years younger than her. Both were on parole when Sian was abducted and murdered. On December 11th, police visited their rented house in Lowood, Queensland, but found it abandoned. The landlord said the couple had moved out suddenly a week earlier, just hours after news of Sian's body was made public. Inside the house, investigators found clumps of hair and empty hair dye bottles, indicating they had changed their appearance before fleeing. Luckily, the landlord provided a rent receipt dated December 10th with a postmark from the entrance, a coastal town in New South Wales. 24 hours later, the couple was arrested. Watts refused to cooperate, and Beck gave only partial confessions. To obtain full confessions, police placed them in separate cells equipped with hidden recording devices. Unaware they were being recorded, the two discussed the crime in detail, including Watts saying he wanted to do it again. Confronted with the recordings, Beck finally confessed. She explained that her husband had lost interest in her and preferred young blonde schoolgirls. To please him, she dyed her hair and pretended to be a schoolgirl, but it wasn't enough. Watts expressed his desire to kidnap, rape, and murder a schoolgirl, and Beck agreed to help fulfill his fantasy. On the day Sian was abducted, they had tried and failed to kidnap several other girls. When they saw Sian riding her bike through the park, Beck approached her, pretending to look for her lost poodle. Sian, who loved animals, agreed to help, and that's when Watts dragged her into the car. Beck admitted she drove them to the Tinbirwa Mountain State Forest, where Watts tortured, raped, and eventually killed Sian. After dumping the body, they returned home and watched TV as if nothing had happened. Tragically, just a week before murdering Sian, Watts had been acquitted of killing Helen Mary Feeney, a young teacher who had been abducted in Brisbane, due to lack of evidence. Beck later admitted that her husband was indeed responsible for Helen's death. In April 1988, Beck pleaded guilty to kidnapping and raping Sian, but denied involvement in the murder. In October that year, a jury sentenced her to life in prison with parole eligibility after 14.5 years. Watts was convicted of kidnapping, rape, and murder in December 1990 and received a life sentence with parole eligibility after 30 years. In 2021, to prevent dangerous offenders like Watts from being released, the Queensland government passed Sian's Law, allowing the parole board to block parole applications for up to 10 years, repeatedly and indefinitely. Beck, who divorced Watts in 1990, died in prison in May 2008 from heart disease at the age of 64. Watts remains behind bars. Thanks to Sian's Law, he won't be eligible for parole until the age of 80. And even then, it's unlikely he will ever be released, given his lack of remorse or accountability.